Hi, everybody. This is Ichi from Amers. We have Erin here today. Erin, tell us a little bit more about what you do.
My name is Erin Beatty. I'm a fashion designer and now I'm an entrepreneur. I started a brand called Rentrayage uh, in 2019, so almost
Nice.
6 years ago. Yeah, very well timed launch. And Rentrayage is really built around being a sustainable, fashion and home brand. Really, in the and we try to make everything in the most sustainable way possible.
Hmm. Gotcha. Well, what motivates you to do this business and this brand, Erin?
So I started Run Triage after my previous company, Suno, had closed. It was a difficult closure. I was pregnant, and I
Hmm.
was interviewing for so many different jobs,
Yeah.
kind of creative director positions all over the industry. And it really started to hit me that uh, I wasn't going to be able to proceed working in the way I'd always worked.
Mm.
It was one of those things where once you see, you can't unsee.
Yeah.
And I was so aware of the amount of waste that was going into the industry and that was created by design and the style of design that
Hmm.
everyone is taught, that I had to completely rethink the way I was doing something. And what I wanted to do didn't necessarily exist. And that was hard. So I I started to freelance and consult, and I also came up with the concept of run triage. And our very first collection we showed in a gallery, and it was really just these, I think it was like 15 or 20 totally upcycled pieces, all made out of vintage.
Mm.
And to this day, that remains a key component of our offering.
Oh, wow. This is so interesting.
Yeah.
So it's been like 6 years. Um, what let's say what's one hard lesson that you learned in the past year that you wish you knew earlier?
There are so many hard lessons. I can't believe how many hard lessons I've
I'm sure.
had. I think that what has really struck me is that the way that traditional retail brands have grown
Hmm.
historically is no longer the way that they are going to grow,
Okay,
right?
tell me more. Yeah.
So wholesale, I think, in the past, what you would do is you would always go to wholesale first because it's kind of the easiest way to build out your business.
Hmm.
Um, you have to show at market, but these stores are going to pick it up and you're going to start making money immediately, right? And it's going to be a slightly
Hmm.
lower margin than a D2C situation,
Right.
but as long as you've built it in, it's going to be okay. Since I've started Ron Triage, Matches has closed, Barney's has closed,
Right. Yeah.
uh, Saks and Neiman's have merged.
Right.
Net-a-Porter's been sold. Like it's just all of these companies that used to place the largest buys,
Yeah.
100,000, few hundred thousand a season, um, up to much higher, depending on
Hmm.
what the brand is, um, have disappeared,
Hmm.
right? And so that's a huge change
Right.
in the way you sell, right? The other thing that has happened is all of those brands, I'm sure you know this much more than I do, they were really adding to the overall cost of the digital market spend.
Right.
Right. And so, as a young brand, breaking into that is extraordinarily
Right.
difficult.
Hmm.
And creating the kind of content that is going to resonate and figuring that out is also difficult unless you're kind of like this organic social media person,
Right.
which, I'm old for that.
Oh, yeah.
I just am, and that's okay. It doesn't mean I can't like learn. It doesn't
Right.
mean that I
Right.
can't get into it, but
Hmm.
it's a struggle because at the time when I grew up in New York City
Right.
fashion, what was cool was just being hidden and secret
Right.
and that sense of discovery, and not
Right.
kind of broadcasting yourself all
Hmm.
over. And so all of that is very nuanced, and I would say
Right.
that those are huge changes
Right.
in our industry.
Right. Interesting. So you talk about growth as a young brand. Like, what do you think, like other than like, organic social media, what do you think is gonna be the biggest unlock for you this year?
I think our biggest unlock actually came in Q4 of last year, which is when I opened um, the pop-up up
Oh,
here
interesting.
in
Pop-up. Right.
Connecticut, right?
Yeah.
And I ended up keeping the lease. I'm like in our storage room right now, but I'm here all the time.
Mm,
And it's very seasonal. So that's actually, that's a big learning as well. The cleanest, like purest,
right.
biggest margin money we've made is it doesn't come with any sort of advertising. It doesn't come with any sort of like screaming about ourselves. It literally comes from unlocking a door.
That's so interesting. Like, how do you find out all the pop-up opportunities?
I don't know. This one really just kind of felt, I live in a small community. We all know each
Right.
other. Um, I basically kind of was walking, pounding the pavement, just looking around this area. It's in a town called Kent, which is 20 minutes from where I live and very close to the New York state border.
Mm-hmm.
So it gets a lot of, it's a beautiful little town. It gets a lot of,
Mm-hmm.
tourists. And there was this one area called Kent Barnes. And, I just thought that this would be the best place for me to do it. And so I just went to Kent Barnes. I walked around. There was a
Yeah.
sheet in a window. I texted the number. The person texted me back, "Hi, Erin, it's Amy." Like I knew the person. It's just like that's how it happened. And
Right.
um, you know, everything good happens through those weird relationships.
I know. That's what I think.
And
Yeah.
I'm not a networker. Like I actually want to say that out loud because I'm a designer by trade. I am actually receiving an MBA right now, but it's not my natural. That is not, I'm not kind of this networky, like it's not in my DNA in a lot of
Right.
ways. And so um but it's always through a friend or through an
Right.
acquaintance or through it is always that is how everything happens and you never know
Right.
who it's going to come from. It's never from the person
That you expect.
that
Yeah.
you're attempting to win over.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's always from this
Right.
person
I
you're like,
hear
"Oh,
you.
it's
No, I
you.
hear you.
Hey."
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
That's serendipity. I'm a founder myself, and
Mhm.
along the way, so many people helped me along the journey, and it's always the people that I never expected. And I just like, I randomly get connected to people, and then somehow they come back to my life and then connect me with someone else that has opportunities. It's amazing. Like if you go through that, like this is something that's how I feel like anyone in my life is important. So I want to be like kind and nice, like to everybody around me. And it's
Yeah, I was going to say I think that's the most important message there. And I don't think we're taught that as founders.
yeah,
That's not what's emphasized ever is to be nice.
yeah,
What's
yeah,
emphasized is to be data driven and kind of cutthroat and
right,
um, to really make decisions quickly. And in my experience, what has served me, and certainly I've made a lot of mistakes, but what served me the most is being really kind to
yeah,
people. Um, Around me and people who work with me and they want to continue working with you. You go through
yeah,
rough times, they will be loyal. Um, I love that that's what we're talking about because I think it's so underemphasized and it's something that as a female I often really question because
yeah,
I'm like, am I just being too nice? Am I
right.
not saying something because I'm being too nice? And it happens. It totally happens. It can get in your way, but also I just can't imagine not leading with kindness.
I love this topic because I personally think the same way. And when I go through my journey, I realize that there are people that genuinely want you to succeed. Like I didn't believe that before I start my journey, and now it's like many years, and then I was like, oh, like there's so many people that genuinely want me to succeed. They genuinely like do. They don't even ask for anything back. They just want me to succeed. I was like, wow, there's
And I think
way
it's
more
just
people than you think.
I
Yeah.
think it's unless someone really crosses you, you really want what's best for everyone around you,
Yeah.
you know? Um, so yeah, I love that.
Yeah. Well, like, so let's say if you could snap a finger and fix like one operational bottleneck this year for you, like what would that be?
Oh, it would be I don't know. It's there's so many things. It's funny, it's like everything that's getting automated is not the thing that I necessarily need
Okay.
automated.
Yeah.
You know. Hi, I'm in an interview. Sorry. Um, uh, so I think that I actually think it's the convergence of tech that is making everything so complicated right now.
Okay.
You know,
Tell
it's
me more.
this
Yeah.
idea that we're so close to tech being able to generate like our ecom photos or something like
Mm-hmm.
that.
Mm-hmm.
But then you see what it generates and you're like,
Yeah.
oh, that's not going to
Yeah.
work, you know. And
Not
I think
authentic.
we're in a really specific place right now because we are actually a fairly high-end brand. I mean, making sure that Rentrayage was sustainable, but also making sure that Rentrayage felt very creative and
Mm-hmm.
cool and inspiring
Mm-hmm.
was and is the most important thing to me. And so maintaining that in every aspect of our brand, even our digital presence, has always been really really important. Um, I think we are getting so much closer to a time when you almost are letting your digital ads kind of run on auto.
Yeah.
And then you're just
Right.
feeding in these, you can feed in these images and it's about
Right.
guiding the system.
Right.
It will be people like you who are advising and guiding.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but the amount that goes into creating those digital ads and creating it's actually like so much money and work.
Right.
So that I think that would be really helpful, because we see success in digital, but we don't see a lot of financial return because you spend
Mm.
so much on it.
Right.
Um, and then, you know, shipping. That would be great, in a way where things just were, we actually have the most success when we just ship ourselves. So definitely there are great DCs, uh, but our product is extraordinarily complicated. So much of it is one of a kind. And the way this entire world has been built out is for kind of these companies that have, I don't know, two or three SKUs that they're just pushing
Yeah.
down people's throats, right? And so when you're doing something that feels unique and creative, which is really your best attribute, it confuses every system. It confuses
That's true.
the
Never
Facebook
thought about that.
algorithm. It confuses
Right.
anyone who's shipping out your products. It
Right.
confuses, like it becomes incredibly confusing. And think about how limiting that is in
Right.
terms of like the creativity that is spreading through this world, the
Right.
creative dialogue that can happen. That I find sad. And it's something
Mm.
that I am constantly trying to rear up against. And I haven't totally figured it out yet, but I do think that that's going to be the directions that a lot of consumers go because we are just getting so tired of being bombarded with supplements or,
Yeah.
whatever those things are.
No, I hear you. I hear you. I've never thought about that. That's true. Yeah, we're seeing the same type of like the products and there was like so many brands everywhere on Facebook ads, Instagram ads. So speaking of that, like what is your top of funnel like traffic growth at this moment?
Um, Probably Google.
Google? Okay.
Yeah.
So like inbox?
It's, that's where we see the highest, that's where we're actually seeing the highest like direct return. But we have an incredible click through on Facebook and Instagram because our ads are really beautiful.
Mm,
Um, the 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 problem is the product is unique and expensive.
right.
Um, that's the hard part. So it's getting that conversion is harder.
Right.
And
Right.
I think also because we don't have a single SKU company, you get to our website and suddenly you're just like, oh my God, there's so much on here. And that actually makes it hard because you're like, well, I kind of want this and I kind of want this. And I think a lot of times you, we have these short attention spans. Um, so, where we see the highest conversion is honestly the store.
That's so interesting. That's
Yeah.
so interesting. I think simple about Google, like where like people actually search for.
Yeah, and I'm
Yeah.
I'm sure it's because we're pretty specific. Like we're
Right.
sustainable fashion, we're sustainable home, um, and then we carry these kind of artisanal products that not that many
Hmm.
other companies carry.
Right.
So yeah.
This is so interesting. So, one last question to like recap about like what we have talked about so far. Like, if you were to be open to it, like, what is your milestone in the next like 1 year and 5 years, or like
It's
10
not
years?
financial.
Yeah. Okay.
Um, my milestone in the next year is to build out uh, the source of profit that I've
Mm,
seen. So
got it. Makes
I
sense.
am
That's
I'm
business.
looking to open another store,
Okay.
another pop-up to test another location.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think in 5 years, sorry, and just to go back, I'm looking to open another store in another location. I'm looking to test another location.
Mm-hmm.
And what I would like to do is to just secure the business in the way that we see these locations working and
Right.
we know that the business is can run, right?
Right.
And we can maintain the people, etc. That is obviously very important. And
Mm-hmm.
then the other the in 5 years, what my goal would be is to have multiple locations.
Okay.
Each one feels unique to where it is
Mm-hmm.
and carries some overlapping product. And essentially, we are the destination when you want to go somewhere and know that you can get something so beautiful, but also know that you can have 100% faith and trust that it was made in a way that is beneficial to the
Mm,
world and that you don't have to feel guilty about. Because
right.
I am so tired of feeling guilty,
Yeah.
about everything I buy my kids and about, it's that it just eats at me.
Right.
And I really want to live by my values, and that's the reason I created this company.
That's so beautiful. That's what a wrap.
Meanwhile,
Well,
we're like selling clothes, so I get it.
thank you so much, Erin. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, of course. Thank you, UT.